Wednesday, September 10th, 2025. A single shot was enough to freeze an entire campus. In Orem, Utah, on the plaza of Utah Valley University, an outdoor debate was underway. It was just after noon when Charlie Kirk, 31, collapsed, hit in the head and neck. Chairs toppled, screams broke out, the crowd scattered. Private security rushed in, then campus police took over. In moments, a place for discussion became a crisis scene. By afternoon, the news fell, stark and final. Charlie Kirk was dead. The investigation opened immediately, and one certainty emerged at once. The attack was carried out from a distance, in broad daylight, in the middle of students. Let's go back over the sequence. The format was the kind the speaker favored on campuses: unscripted Q&A, tight exchanges, deliberate proximity. Phones were rolling, hands were raised. A question about gun violence came up. A follow-up was asked. Then that single crack so many people recognized instantly. A camera wobbled, a feedback squeal tore through the audio, and everything flipped. Life-saving measures began, and the evacuation was organized to the nearest hospital. In parallel, the emergency machinery kicked in. The area was locked down. Dominant rooftops and windows were inspected. Upper-level access points combed through. Video collected. The first witnesses questioned. The first 24 hours moved outward in concentric circles. First, the scene, reconstructing sightlines, collecting physical evidence, forming initial ballistic hypotheses. Then the surroundings, stairwells, terraces, rooftops, service access points. Then the hunt, public appeals for witnesses, cross-checking public and private cameras, releasing images of a person of interest. Arrests took place, then releases followed, as no link was established to the scene. A long gun was recovered near the campus. The most probable scenario took shape. A lone shooter, positioned at elevation, who struck, withdrew, and vanished in the confusion. Meanwhile, reactions mounted. Political figures across the spectrum condemned the violence unequivocally. Online, tributes and video clips piled up. In Phoenix, outside Turning Point's headquarters, flowers and candles accumulated. The words kept repeating: shock, stupefaction, anger. The state's governor called it a political attack. Other officials urged caution on motive until the investigation delivered its findings. The reasonable line was clear: say what we know, label what remains uncertain. Who was the man at the center of this day? Born in the Chicago suburbs in 1993, Charlie Kirk founded Turning Point USA in 2012 at 18. The stated ambition: build a conservative student network, challenge what he saw as an ideological hegemony on campuses, and mobilize a new generation around unapologetic ideas. In a few years, he became one of the most visible faces of a right-leaning youth movement. Tours from university to university, outdoor debates, daily presence in media and podcasts, massive digital reach. Married, father of two, and an avowed believer, he occupied a hybrid role as host activist, media tribune, and mobilization strategist. His supporters credit him with something specific: drawing young voters to the right and turning a student association network into a national strike force. Controversies and criticisms. You can't understand his imprint without looking at the polarization he sparked. His tours drew enthusiastic lines and hostile protests. Some initiatives associated with his activist universe triggered deeper debates. Publicly listing professors labeled as activists, for instance, was decried by academics who saw it as pressure harmful to academic freedom, while his supporters defended it as a transparency tool exposing institutional bias. The electoral arm of his ecosystem was repeatedly subjected to exacting reviews of reporting compliance. reflecting procedural sparring that has become nearly constant in a hyper-litigious climate. Other criticisms targeted the movement's messaging and finances, accused of blending combative activism, relentless fundraising, and non-stop media exposure. In response, the refrain remained the same: denounce a witch hunt, claim a conservative counterculture, and own an unfiltered style that offends as much as it cements loyalty. These controversies explain the emotional intensity of the reactions the day after the attack. For some, Charlie Kirk remains an architect of conservative youth mobilization, an effective political popularizer, a speaker who met people where they were. For others, he embodied a confrontational strategy that fed a lasting ideological hardening. Between those poles, one fact stands out: he mattered, and his violent death forces a broader view than his own camp. This incident also raises a practical question: what does it change for the security of public events? First, technical preparation. Up front, map lines of sight, rooftops, dominant windows, terraces, stairways, and access to elevated positions. Install visual neutralization zones to break obvious trajectories. Establish a single radio language shared by private security, campus police, and state authorities, with simple keywords drilled before every appearance. Assign spotters to higher ground, not just the front row. Brief the audience at the start in under a minute. How to evacuate without panic, where to assemble, how to protect a wounded person without hindering first responders. Reinforce an elementary principle: filming isn't publishing, especially when raw images can harm an investigation or traumatize loved ones. Next, information protocol. Accept the time an investigation takes. State clearly what is proven. Mark clearly what is not. A person of interest can be questioned and then released. A weapon can be recovered before ballistics delivers results. A trajectory detail can change in light of a camera previously unknown. Rigor does not chill emotion. It shields it from hasty narrative building. Let's make a clean snapshot at this stage. What we know: the attack unfolded in daylight, a single shot, from a nearby building, during an outdoor debate. Charlie Kirk was evacuated and then pronounced dead in the afternoon. The scene was sealed, a long gun was found nearby, and authorities released images of a person of interest. The manhunt continues with federal support. What remains to be clarified: the shooter's precise identity, their route of escape, any potential logistical support, the real motive beyond hypotheses, and a minute-by-minute reconstruction of the sequence. We also need to measure the wound. First, that of a family suddenly thrust into a tragic story. That of a university community that sees a space for debate become a zone of insecurity. That of a country where the vocabulary of targeted attacks, political threats, and candlelight vigils returns too often. Faced with this, the essential question isn't what should we think of him, but what must we demand of ourselves, of organizers, universities, authorities, and the public. Prepare, map, neutralize, coordinate, care, and above all, refuse to let one more controversy replace one more precaution. So, why does this case matter to everyone, regardless of political leanings? Because it says something about the moment. Public debate has overflowed the institutions and moved into open spaces, close to crowds, emotions, and cameras. That overflow demands new responsibilities, new reflexes, and new public guidance. It also imposes a simple oath: don't let the next tragedy become just another episode. Make the Orem attack a real turning point, not a parenthesis. If you want us to dig into a specific angle first, the second-by-second reconstruction, the exact site map, or the progress of the manhunt, say so in the comments. Here, we'll take the time to verify before concluding, to separate fact from rumor, and to let reason, as much as possible, regain the upper hand.